Dead Mount Death Play, easily the most anticipated anime just based on the original creator alone, besides maybe Oshinoko. Yes, for those that have been living under a rock, Dead Mount Death Play was by the creator of Konosuba, so you definitely know the pedigree of that series. I'm just saying that so that like 50 people leave comments saying that it's not the creator of Konosuba. No, it's the creator of Baccano and da-da-da-da. We've all heard it. Everybody's saying it everywhere. I mentioned in my preview, and it's become a joke at this point. People saying, hey, do you know what the creator of? It's become pretty big on our Discord. But no, jokes aside, I do believe it is important to kind of note the creator of this series because they're pretty well known for kind of creating these oddities of a world itself, a modern times, and then at the same time twist it with magic itself and supernatural elements. At the same time, they're kind of a creator that doesn't really try to rush to plot points. They have a habit of kind of taking their time to kind of build up into things, and I think that's kind of a give and a take whether this first 2 episodes is going to work for a lot of people. But this is my first impressions of the first 2 episodes of Dead Mount Death Play, so let's jump right into it. Dead Mount Death Play opens up where the corpse god himself is building up an army within this labyrinth, and while the soldiers are going in order to stop him, eventually the church sends their secret weapon, the Calamity Crusher. A hero, so to speak, that comes out there in order to take him down. Now there is a similarity between the corpse god and the Calamity Crusher. They both were born with what they call an evil eye. An eye that allows them to see the spirits of the dead. And it's often said that most people, unless they go to the church and live a life in peace there, they will end up going mad by this evil eye. Seeing the dead will drive people crazy. And typically, you'll either go to the church or you'll become a necromancer. And so yes, the corpse god became a necromancer, while as the Calamity Crusher became a hero with the church. And as they're facing off against each other, going through this big epic battle, eventually the corpse god casts a reincarnation spell. And this all leads to this final big blow, and then yes, suddenly out of nowhere, a person wakes up in our modern times Japan. But not a different person, but in the body of a boy. And this boy has his throat is slit. Well, as they're trying to figure out where they're at, obviously it's different. The ground's different, the walls are different. They walk out to the street and they see these oddities in this world itself, and it looks peaceful. Well, eventually he gets approached by policemen who are asking, hey, is your throat okay? Like, are you doing cosplay? Are you actually injured? Eventually this girl, Misaki, shows up, grabs him by the hand, and rushes him off. Well, this Misaki ends up revealing to this guy that, yeah, she was the one that was supposed to kill him. She's the one that slit his throat, and he was supposed to be dead. So he doesn't know why he's alive, but I'm gonna kill you again. So she starts chasing him all over the place into some warehouse where eventually she goes to deal the final blow, and suddenly this boy manifests some skeletal hands and impales her. That's the big reveal, yes, that he is actually the necromancer, the corpse god. And he's waiting for this girl that he just killed to get back up on her feet. He's used to fighting people with, abilities to revive themselves or protections or something like that. But no, the chick's dead. The chick is straight up dead. But when we cut into the second episode, we kind of get a backstory of the corpse god themselves. They had the evil eye. Their parents sold them off to this one cult. He became a necromancer that served this empire, went through many battlefields until eventually the empire itself fell. And then he decided to kind of just live a life in peace. He kind of just hid away from all the war and bloodshed until he eventually came across a bunch of orphans where he started helping them, feeding them and everything. And then the nasty kingdom itself decided, oh no, these children are tainted by the corpse god. We have to burn them, and kills them all. And then that upset him, and that made him turn into the corpse god, where he then hid away inside of a labyrinth. Things came to him and he just kind of waited to die until eventually he used the reincarnation spell. At the same time, we also get a backstory of Misaki, the girl that he just killed, and the fact that she witnessed her parents being killed by somebody, joined this organization, or became a hitman, basically, until eventually she got to kill the one that killed her family. But she's always killed bad people. She's always killed killers. And she did want to experience what it would be like to kill somebody that's good, and so happens, Polka was the first target that she had that was good, and she succeeded, but as she was going to kill herself because of that, that's when they said, hey, he's still alive. And she went over there and got herself killed. But no, he does revive her. And they spend the rest of the entire episode talking about, what is he? Is there magic in this world? No, there's not magic in this world. Oh, I'm the only necromancer, blah, blah, blah. Until some kids are in danger, he saves them, and they realize, this guy's weird. I mean, he killed Misaki, played with her body, like was flinging it around going, are you dead? And then goes and saves a bunch of children. This guy is weird. But like I've kind of hinted at before, the corpse god just wants a world where there's peace. So he's like, can I make this world in peace? It's obvious that it's not 100% at peace because children are suffering still. How can I make a world with peace? And stupidly, Lisa, the intermediary, decides to tell him, I would probably say money. No, the last thing that makes peace is money. That's the last thing that makes peace. That typically creates war. But anyways, so he's thinking, okay, well, I'll just make money and I'll create peace in this world. So that's kind of where we're opening things up. And oh yeah, Lisa assigns Misaki, who he just killed, that he revived as a zombie, and Takumi, who is this informant that sends drones around, to be at his side to help him make money and create peace. So my thoughts on Dead Mount Death Play. Similar to their previous works, I think this creator is really good at kind of introducing a supernatural element to a modern times Japan. And I think so far they're doing that very well. Kind of introducing this character that you assume is a bad guy, kind of walking around and realizing, hey, this world looks pretty peaceful, despite the fact that there's still suffering within it. And it's sort of already kind of hitting on the idea that what it seems like they want to do going forward is this idea of this corpse god, which is, again, supposed to be deemed as being a bad guy, wanting to create a good thing within this world. Now, putting aside the fact that this Lisa lady thinks that money is going to create peace, which I put a big nope on, it kind of feels like that is at least what they're setting up that it's going to be doing going forward, because that's my big curious question that I have at this point coming this series. I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know what this creator wants to do. Now, granted, with the other previous series like Durarara and Bakano, it really didn't feel like there was a idea early on what the heck we're doing here, and it kind of takes one of those over time things kind of evolve and shift around as it goes, which I'm sure they're going to do with this series as well. But there's still sort of a hint of uncertainty that I have for the series and what their plans are here. The directions that I go in my mind is, okay, he comes here, you know, he gets a bunch of jobs from this lady to kill really bad people. You get this sense of, because he has the evil eye, he's able to see the whole story. He gets the story from the dead or something like that, and they play off that stuff for a little bit. And then eventually the hero shows up, and they have this big epic battle in the middle of the town. That's my assumption is going to go out, and it's kind of a... Thinking about that makes me go, shrug. The more interesting possibilities here is the idea of, okay, this corpse god comes here, and then realizes they're suffering by war or whatnot. I wonder if it can go a route where he does create actual peace within the world itself, sort of taking it over, and then eventually the hero shows up and says, you know, you're a bad guy. You can't be good. You have to be bad. And then it turns into a fight there. But it would be more in the sense of that he did create peace, that you don't need to be here kind of thing. That would be a kind of a more interesting route possibly that they can go, but I don't think they'll go that route. But again, that's my uncertainty that I have right now, is what are we doing here? Thankfully, the first 2 episodes has done really well with establishing Polka as a character, or at least the Corpse God, establishing the Corpse God as a character, establishing Zaki as a character, but nothing really else other than that. I'm sure they're going to get into this big story bit about why Polka had to die, this good person. What did Polka do? And what is Polka involved with? My assumption is that he's probably a son of somebody very important, and that'll probably come into play eventually. But like I said earlier, I hope that this at least keeps and instills upon itself that aspect of that modern setting, just having a little bit of a sprinkle of something oddity in here. And they sort of got that already with the whole situation with saving the children. It wasn't just as simply as the children are saved and everybody's happy. It kind of gets into the whole thing where they start taking pictures of these skeletal hands and they're wondering, what am I seeing here? This aspect of the children themselves being, him essentially using the parents, their spirits that are watching over the children to save the children. So again, it kind of mixes in a little bit of a supernatural element to just saving children from a burning building. So at least if they can still kind of keep that aspect in there, I think it'll be really interesting. Tell the stories with the evil eye itself, which I think could possibly be a core concept within the series. I do have to admit that I'm a little bit sad about the fact that when the first episode aired, everybody was freaking out like, holy crap, it had a great twist at the end of the first episode. And I'm like, what's the twist? What I missed? And they're like, that it was the corpse god that was Polka the whole time. I'm like, wait, I got that. I had that from the first moment that he woke up, because he said something effective, did the spell go off? He was casting this massive reincarnation spell. He would be asking, did the spell go off? I guess you can insinuate that, yes, technically the Calamity Crusher was casting something in his hand, but he was attacking with an arsenal of both his weapon and the spell. I don't necessarily see him going, oh, did that spell go off? I didn't get that. And that's kind of the downer, because I know that was probably intended to be a misdirection, because honestly, the whole first episode, the whole thing I was thinking about is, are they trying to make me believe this is supposed to be the hero? Because I'm pretty sure it's the corpse god. And sure enough, by the end of it, it's like, okay, this is supposed to be a big reveal. The hero's still over here. I'm like, okay, well, that was a missed opportunity for me to get some kind of exciting, holy crap, that was a big twist. It was the main reason why I didn't do a first impressions last week for the first episode, because I'd be like, yeah, I seen that crap that my mind immediately went to assuming it's the corpse god, because it is an interesting twist. Because I think that's the main core thing in these first 2 episodes is this aspect of how technically the corpse god is a kind person. He is seeking happiness. It's the society itself that really is terrible. He wanted happiness. He wanted to raise these children and give them a home. He just wanted peace, but the world itself could not allow him as a necromancer to be happy. It wasn't his choice to have the evil eye, but yet society wants to deem him as evil. Because he didn't go to the church, because his family didn't sell him off to the church, he's a bad guy. He can't exist. And again, I think that's going to be something we're going to probably get into whenever the hero finally does show up in our modern times, is he's going to want the corpse god to be dead, despite the fact that he's not a bad person. The hero is obsessed with taking down the corpse god. He deems him evil. And so he is going to probably have somebody mimic the reincarnation spell that he's seen in order to send him off to our world. And then we'll have that big battle. The question mark that I have is I wonder how they're going to keep kind of sprinkling supernatural elements in our world while the hero is not still there. And I think that's probably going to come in things like Misaki or Zaki. She's now technically a zombie. She has been reincarnated and she's technically dead, but she's not dead. And so she's going to be an oddity that's going to be in this world. And I'm wondering if over time he's going to create other people the same way. And if that aspect will eventually raise some more important question like, why are you playing God? Why are you messing with people's lives? Why will you not let somebody pass and keeping them around? It's fine with Zaki because, again, he technically gave her what she wanted. She wanted to do the last thing, which was take out her own life. She took out evil people, she took out a good person, and the last thing on her list was to take herself out. So he technically gave her what she kind of wanted, and that's probably going to make her obsessed with him. She's going to be super obsessed with him, you know it. And I think that kind of gets into my point that I think is my biggest issue that I have with this series so far is I don't really care about the characters so far. They're just kind of there. I do have a little bit of sympathy to the corpse god himself and him wanting to have peace, but yet life and people will not let him have that peace because he's been deemed evil. Zaki, sadly, I was hoping would work for me. She's not really working for me. She's just crazy. I want to see death, and that just doesn't work for me. Takumi's just kind of there. Lisa, shrug. So there's not really any characters so far that I'm really attaching to. Not that with things like Durarara that I was attaching to anybody in particular like right off the bat. Honestly, this writer doesn't rush to things, and so it does give me a lot of pause to giving my overall thoughts on if this is going to be a good show or not a good show. I will say, the biggest issue this show has, and I mentioned it in my previews, the biggest issue this has is Geek Toys. This studio is not a good studio. It's never been a good studio. Ningen Fushin, not a good looking show. Genso Sangokushi, not a good show. Plunderer, not a good show. Rewrited, not a good show. There's one commonality within all these shows. They didn't look good. And visually they fell apart really, really fast. And so that's the saddest thing about this whole thing. My hope is that with Narita involved with this, hopefully they got a decent budget to work with and this is going to be their first big hit. I'm always open to a studio having their first big hit. We'll see. It's been good so far. Even the CGI in the first episode wasn't enough to make me want to throw it out the window. And they got that other system and now it's mostly 2D animated, but we'll see. But I have very little hope for that studio. The plus side is the director and series composition writer worked on SAO and Irregular at Magic High. Decent. So hopefully that's the thing that's going to be holding it up the whole time. But we'll see. I think the core thing that I'm most excited about for the series so far is, like I said, modern times, supernatural element added to it. Already there's a lot of concepts here that are kind of being introduced that's really hitting on the dead, unfinished business, those that you kill and their anger towards you, the suffering that you end up having because of the lives you've taken that are kind of clawing their claws at your back the entire time you live. which is kind of a central point of the corpse god in his previous life. So maybe that's something I can get into with this going forward. A lot of the jobs that he's going to be probably taking to take out bad people and getting the full story from the ghosts themselves, or maybe the story from the person that he kills. That can kind of get into some interesting stuff there, but again, my overall hope is to really expand it a lot. Really give this character the desire to take over everything, to create the peace that he wants in a good way, despite the fact the world itself wants to deem him bad. But we'll see. That's my first impressions of Dead Mount Deathplay. We'll see if it turns out well or not. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you thought of the series you're going to be checking out. Did it fool you in the first episode? I'm really curious for a lot of people. Did it fool you in the first episode? Were you like, immediately, no, that's the corpse god? But I know they're trying to misdirect me, but no, that's the corpse god. He said that. Let me know. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I would greatly appreciate if you consider supporting us on Patreon or tips link, super thanks button down below, as well as becoming a member of the channel. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. I thank you all for watching, and y'all take care.